All right, so I think I'm live. All good. All right, cool. So yeah, the title of this class was essentially um, creating marketing or command your design command your designs with the marketing tools in Command. So command your marketing with designs. That's what it's called. Got a little jumbled there, but anyway, basically it's we're going to be focusing mainly on the designs applet. And of course, I'll be taking any questions as I kind of move through this, but I did want to just get my screen shared real quick. And I am logged into Command here. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to be really focused on just the designs tool right now. And we're going to put together a few different marketing pieces. And the idea is like with designs, you can quickly and easily put together a nice flyer or a postcard, or even things like social media graphics, because I have quite a few templates in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started here. We're going to click in designs. And I think what we're going to start with first is we're just going to create a simple, let's say Instagram graphic that we can use to post essentially anywhere we want, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, even if I want to pop it into an email template, we can do that as well. So how do I access the design templates? Well, what I have to do is right on the right-hand side here, and I know this can be easily missed because sometimes even when I'm going through here, you can miss it. It's a little button on the right-hand side with a plus sign in it. It's blue. If we click on it, it's going to bring up this this card here with all the different templates that you can build out in Command. So that includes your emails, which I'm not going to go into emails right now because the email templates, in my opinion, are kind of not working properly. And they are rebuilding that whole system to be more like a kind of like a easier experience. So once they have that actually sorted out, I'll go through that in more detail because I'm really excited about that. But mainly what we'd be working on is print, social, and you could do video as well. They do have some nice little pre-generated videos you can create, or video rather, it's only one. And I do like this tool here where you can actually import PDFs. So I like to mention this, for agents who may have had templates created in the past. Perhaps they had that one admin who was really awesome and they did some really awesome marketing materials for you. You can actually take those PDFs that they created, import it here, and you can create a editable design. So no longer do you have to try to find somebody to kind of replicate a template. You can actually import it here and then work with it directly through Command, that's a huge, really awesome tool. Now, for me to get started, let's say I'm going to do a social media graphic. I'm going to hit social. And you do have the option to import photos from a listing. So I am going to show you how that works. I'm going to hit import photos. And we're going to go ahead and hit next. And right now you can see I don't have any listings. So what I need to do is click where it says show. I'm going to hit only, I'm going to show all listings. We're going to click on that. Now it's going to show you essentially all the listings that are in the MLS. And I'm going to just take an example of one here because it's the one that pops up immediately in my head. 68 Knickerbocker. So we're going to use that as my sample here. We're going to click select. And as soon as you hit select, it's going to bring you into this workspace, basically where I can select a template to work off of. And on the left-hand side here, it's going to be all the different types of templates you can choose from, whether it be a listing template or a buyer template. You're doing lead gen, perhaps. They do have some lead gen ones in there, which is really nice. And they do have quite a few to choose from. Business basics, that's also really cool. So let's say for this example, we're going to do a newly listed, or it can be an open house even. Let's do an open house one. So let's go ahead and hit listings. And you're going to notice on the listings tab they have quite a few different themes. So in this case, I'm going to select Open House. And you'll notice right away when you select Open House, it's going to give you these little bubbles. And every bubble has a different sort of template library installed. So Facebook, you have Instagram, Instagram Stories, LinkedIn, Twitter. So depending on the type of channel that you're selecting, they have different graphics for each one, or not really different graphics, but rather different sized graphics. Because each one of these channels or social media sites has their own type of kind of standard, if you want to call it that. The standard being what type of images work best on the site. So I think, in my opinion, I think for Instagram, the square image does work pretty much flawlessly throughout all of these, because you got to think about a lot of the people on their mobile device are scrolling through. And I feel like the square image does work quite well. So I'm actually going to select one of these square images. Let's use this one here, the first one. Now you can use any one that you want. The settings are going to be essentially the same. So I'll just select the first one. And if you recall, I did select that listing before. So the listing actually will appear here where it says KWLS. So if I select KWLS, it's going to populate the listing information. And it's also going to give me the photos, more importantly. So these photos are really going to make it a lot less time consuming if I had to upload these manually. And of course, you're not going to use all of them. So the idea that I can even have the option to choose from all of them is great. And I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to upload anything. All I had to do is just say which listing I want to choose from. So again, you can find that in this KWLS tab here, and that's going to be on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and choose one of these images to use. Now, I might use this one. We're going to use this one here. We're just going to drag it in. Oop, that didn't work. Let's do that again. So if you notice that it doesn't let you drag it in, typically what I usually will do is I'll click on this image here, and I'll use this option here that says replace image. So I'm just going to do that. And you'll notice what it did. It replaced the image in the template, which is great. And now that image is going to be part of this graphic when we download it. So there is some text here as well, as you can notice. We have you're invited, open house. Here's the street address, street name. Now for me to edit that, what I have to do is click on the text box. And I like to use this tool up here. It's called Typewriter. If I click on Typewriter, this makes it a little bit more easy to kind of put in the address or any sort of text that you're using, because it could be a little fussy sometimes. So we're just going to use that, 07670. Great. Now, one thing you also probably notice is that this text has wrapped around that box. So what I want to do is there's little handles here, and we can actually just drag those handles out slightly. And it's going to put the text in there. I'm actually going to resize the text as well so it fits a little bit better. Again, actually, let's just take out the zip code there. Let's take that out. There we go. We'll save that. And now it's formatted. I'll just kind of move that slightly over. There we go. And if you're curious how I did that, so there's a little trick or tip that I like to mention. One click on the text, that's going to give you some of the like manipulation options, like moving it around or resizing it or changing the text wrapping. Let's undo that real quick. Double clicking is when you can edit the text. And as I mentioned, I do prefer using the typewriter for that. Just a little bit easier. And I think it's a little bit faster as well. But however you decide to do it, one click is to manipulate the text. Double click if you want to edit the text within that box. Now, the same thing if I want to edit even the font styles. They have quite a lot of fonts in here. You can choose from, hundreds of them. And it's awesome that they did that, because I think fonts, for the most part, it does kind of make a big difference. Use Poppins. No, let's remove that. We'll go back to Roboto. So again, if I ever want to change the text out or the colors even, there's a bar on the top here that's going to have all of your options to edit the text. Again, that was one click, and we can edit that from here. So the idea with this as well, you'll notice that you're probably wondering, well, why isn't there anything about like the date and time? Well, the idea with a social media graphic is to be less text heavy, because the text that you're going to use will be within the caption of the actual post. So if I'm posting about an open house, I'm not going to necessarily have a million different bits of text on this graphic, because I'm going to convey that more so in the summary text or the copy for the actual post. So that's why it doesn't have that much text. One other thing I'd also mention is that if you plan on running any sort of sponsored advertising around this, again, they highly prefer to have as little text as possible. And that's because with Facebook specifically, it does limit your reach when there's too much text. So again, we're just gonna keep it this way. Now, for me to download this, what I can do is I can go up to the top, and I'm actually just gonna rename this real quick as well. We'll just put 74 Knickerbocker V1. So that's just my file name. And what I can do to download this is I can hit the download button, and you'll notice that there is 3 different types of download options available currently: JPEG, PNG, and PDF. So what is the difference between the 3 of them? So the JPEG would be probably like your standard for any sort of web related things. If I'm posting it to my Facebook, or if I'm sending it in a text message, or popping it into an email, JPEGs are great for that. PNGs are good for transparent backgrounds, high quality images. But typically, if you're doing anything with a PNG, it's probably because it has a transparent background. So things like logos, or could be any sort of graphic that you want to have that doesn't include a background in it. PNGs are good for that. And PDF, of course, those would just be for like a high-res copy that you can print. So it's more so for print. And you can actually download the high-res print quality versions of these by toggling this switch here. But for any sort of graphic that I would be posting on my social media, all I really need is a JPEG. And I'm going to keep it 91 quality. I think that's good enough. Let's start download. And that download's going to start. I'll give it a couple seconds to kind of prepare itself to download. And once it's downloaded, I'm just going to open it up real quick. We're going to open that download up. You'll see here, this is the finalized graphic. And this is what we can now use to post into my social media, or if I'm going to be posting it onto an email. So one other really cool thing about these graphics in particular, let's go ahead and save this. And if I do wind up stopping at any point, it's usually because I'm just checking to see if there's any participants waiting. So we're good to go with that right now. Let's go ahead and we'll save this graphic again. We're going to go ahead and hit done. So we're going to actually exit out of the design tool. So I guess I kind of lied. We're going to go into one other tool here. We're going to go to campaigns real quick. I just want to show real quickly from campaigns how you can use the graphics we created to post into our social media, so Facebook in particular. So if we go back to campaigns, there's an option up top called social posts. We're going to click on that. And what we can do from here is you'll notice that we have this nice little calendar. Let's expand this to the month. So we have this calendar here, which is laid out, which we're pretty much every day for the month. And let's say we're going to have some sort of post go out. We want to schedule it for Wednesday. So for Wednesday, we want to schedule a post to go out specifically about this open house, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to first put in some copy here. I'm going to put open house 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And that's going to be, what's the date for that weekend? I want to say it's July, put 18th, or I think it's 19th. All right, so then we'll put a little bit of information about the listing. Walker Road, Tenafly, and J. I'll say beautifully, spelled that wrong. Beautifully maintained home in a much sought after neighborhood of Tenafly, close to NYC transportation, downtown areas, and we'll put school districts. Great. So once we're satisfied with the copy, what we can do now is go ahead and we can either upload images. So we downloaded that one. We can upload it if we wanted to. Or what we can also do is go to choose from designs. We can go to browse design library. And the graphic we just created is right here. We'll select that. And once it loads, it usually takes a few seconds to load in. It's going to ask me to just crop it. Now, because it's a square, it's actually already pre-formatted, as you can see, so I don't have to make any changes. Sometimes you'll have a graphic that'll be a widescreen, as you can see. It looks like what they also did now is they added a way to kind of freely crop this, which is pretty nice. But square, that's good to go. We're going to hit crop. And now we're all set. So basically from here, all I have to do is hit preview post. You can get a look at what it's going to look like when I post it. And as soon as I do that, it's going to be scheduled and it's going to be published to my Facebook business page right after that. So one other thing you probably all noticed as well is that it doesn't include the DBA logo. So if you are uploading your own design, it typically will take that option away. So you don't have to worry about uploading a logo in there. In this case, I would probably just go back and fit one in there somewhere. But we're not going to be worried about that too much right now. Again, for me to post this, I hit schedule post, and then that's all set. So I just wanted to real quickly show how designs work in conjunction with campaigns. So let's go back to designs now. So I mentioned with designs, you can also use this to create your print materials. So there are quite a lot of templates in there now for print designs. Let's go ahead and click that button again. And under here where it says print, we're just going to click on that. And we're going to do the same thing, import photos from the listing. And I'm going to select that same listing again, Knickerbocker Road. Here we go, we'll select. And as soon as it loads, we're going to see here we have our design templates again on the left. Let's go ahead and we'll select, let's do a flyer. And we're going to do, in this case, let's just do a just listed. And you can see here, there's quite a lot of templates available. You can do brochures, which is great. You can also do trifold brochures or letters. These are your little pamphlets, postcards, and then flyers all the way at the end here. So they added a lot of new templates, which I really like. So let's go ahead and we'll select this one here. I like this one. All right. So once this loads up, it's going to be very similar to the editor we were in before. So on the left-hand side are going to be some of the graphic tools. The middle is going to be the template that I can edit. And for me to get started, all I have to do is just, we'll get the photos in first. So let's get one of those main exteriors in, and I'll drag that in. So you notice this time it let me drag that in. So there's two ways you can actually change images out. You can drag it in, or you can select the image on the template and use that replace image, whichever one you like better. Now for me, it looks like it's a little, might need a little bit of cropping. So if we double click on the image, you'll notice that it kind of grays everything out and the image is going to be colored so you can see like what you're cropping. So I'm going to crop that a little bit. We'll hit done. And now you can see that it's been cropped. There's a little bit more space between the roof and the sky, which is great. So let's go ahead and move down just a bit more. And we're going to edit the other two images out. Again, we can do it the same exact way. Let's go ahead and just kind of drag that in, and then we're going to drag the other one in as well. I might use a kitchen shot here. Where's the kitchen at? Here we go. Drag that in. There we go. Looks good. And again, these are your templates, so you can literally use whatever images you want. You can even change the sizing of these if you'd like. You know, if you want to make the sizing a little bit different, or perhaps you want to remove one, you can do that as well. Completely customized to you. And I actually like one of these aerials, so I'm going to use one of the aerial shots there. So we got the aerial in. And I think I might change this one too. I'll make this one the kitchen shot. So there we go. Great. Awesome. So the only thing left for me to really do now is just change some of the main text out. We need to change the headline here, which will be the address for the listing, which I can just use that again. Click on it. We'll use the typewriter tool. And I can even just copy and paste this if I wanted to, but you can do 68 Knickerbocker Road and Tenafly NJ 07670. There we go. We'll hit save. And again, the text has kind of wrapped around. So I'm going to just stretch it a little bit. And what I'm also going to do is move this over slightly so it kind of goes into the middle. You'll notice as I was doing that, there was like those little blue lines coming all over the place. Those are your guides. So it kind of helps makes everything a little bit more kind of centered and look really good. So I think that's all right. There we go. I think it's a little bit off, but there we go, right there. Awesome. So you see here, it helps you kind of keep things centered and looking good. So even like this just listed, if I want to make this something else, like you can say for sale if we wanted to. And that will change the text out on here as well. I think I like the for sale, looks good. But again, it's your template. You can customize it however you want. So as I'm moving forward here, there's some other text additionally that I can edit. And in this case, it's going to be some of the amenities, bed and bathrooms. We're going to go ahead and just put that as 7 bedrooms. This is 6.5 because it's actually 6 full baths, 1 half bath. Square footage, I'm going to actually remove that. So I'm just going to take that out. And I'm actually going to I'm not going to include the price. And the reason why I'm not going to include it is because I want people to inquire about that to me directly. So I want to have them reach out to me. Obviously, they can probably just Google it if they were going to do that. But I think the idea is that if I'm posting this somewhere, or if I have this printed out, they would contact me directly for that info. So I'm going to say here, contact for price. And we're just going to save changes, and it's good to go. Okay, cool. So we have this changed. I might actually make this slightly bigger because it's kind of small. And I think that looks good. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's move that over a little bit. There we go. What I'm also going to do, I think I'm going to make this a little bit bigger as well. I think that's a little too small. So we're just going to, again, stretch this out a little bit. And we're going to move it over right over there. Cool. So basically, you see what I'm doing. I'm kind of manipulating the text slightly. So I'm customizing it. But again, you can use the template exactly how it is and just replace out just like the text. You can replace out the images and then the verbiage here, and then you're good to go. So here I have, I want to actually add the verbiage for the listing as well. So how I can do that simply, you can click on the text box here with the amenities. And what I can do is I can use this button here. It's a little replace button. And you notice that it actually changed out the verbiage that's included on the template. So let's make that a little bit smaller. Actually, let's edit this a little bit because we probably don't need all of it. We'll just remove some of this for now. We're not gonna go too crazy with that, but let's go ahead and just, we'll change the line height as well here. Actually, I think that's, here we go. Do the line spacing. We'll just crop that a little bit. We'll make that about 8 spaces. So now it fits nicely within the template. I think that's cool. All right, so we're almost done with this. All we need to do now is essentially switch out the information here for myself and then my logo. So I'm actually going to go here on the left. There's a logo section. And I'm going to pop in my logo here. Just pop that in. Again, you can just drag and drop it right over the template. And we're going to just move that over slightly there. There we go. Looks good. Now, you're probably wondering, and I get this question a lot, where can we find the logos? So the logos can actually be accessed from KW Connect. And if you go to kwconnect.com, it'll be under here where it says resources, marketing, logos and branding. And then from here, all I need to do is search for my Market Center number, or I can put in a name as well. And then you can download the zip file here. That's going to have all the high resolution logos that you need. And then you are all set with that. So that's how you would find the logos. So basically, we're almost done. The last bit I need to do is upload my image. So I can click on the images tab here as well. Go to my library, and I'm just going to drag this over. And it's going to replace the image of my headshot here. Then I just need to change out the text. So this is my agent information. We're going to type that in as well. Again, I'm using that typewriter tool to help me out with that. Now this text box here, I'm just going to click on it. We'll hit typewriter here, and I'm just going to edit the text a little bit. Awesome. And since this is already formatted as a KW email, all I have to do is change out this part. I'm going to make this lowercase. There we go. And my app link, I don't have my app link right off the top of my head, but what I can do, interestingly enough, is on my home screen here, I actually pasted it into my notepad, so I always have it. And I'm just going to copy that over. So just like a little quick tip there, if you're looking for a place just to add that link so you don't remember, or if you don't forget it. And I'm going to paste that here. So we just copied it. We're going to paste it in. I'm going to remove this here. There we go. We got our app link now. Save. And I think we're all set with this. Again, if you have any other elements that you want to add in, perhaps, so for this print graphic, perhaps you also want to add in something like a QR code that somebody can scan to visit a virtual tour. So in this case, if we wanted to add, hypothetically, we can do that by going to add, and we can essentially drag and drop in any of the images that we want to use. and that includes a QR code. So then from here, basically all we would need to do now, we're going to save this. Let's just call this 60 Knickerbocker Road V2, or let's say flyer V1. All right. So we have the flyer saved. We can go ahead and hit download now. And we're going to go to PDF because we want to download the high-res file that we're going to print out. So from here, you can see here, we can change the quality. I'm going to call this high-res. Start download. And then we're all set. So now we just downloaded a flyer. All right, so let's open that up so you can take a look at it. There we go, looks really clean. All set for printing. We can go ahead and print this off anywhere. We can go in the office and print it out there if we wanted. And this is a great marketing piece. So this is something that you can easily put together in Command. You can print it out, you can post it. In this case, if I'm not you know, putting together any sort of sponsored post, I can just post this on my social media. You know, I can also put this into an email. So instead of having to put together a template for an email, I can literally just use the image here because it's already kind of formatted in a way that it's easy to read on the go. So I do have a little bit of time. So I do want to actually show, let's go back. Let's go back to the template library here. So I just want to show real quickly within this designs template library, if we go into, let's go into listings again, you're going to notice here that you have listing presentations. You also have in here buyer presentations. So within Command, you can also build out these really nice customer listing and buyer presentations. It's really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and just open one up real quick. I'm going to go to listings and we'll use this classic template here. So I do want to just show real quickly how the packets work. So when you first start the packets, it's going to have a left-hand column here with all the different pages. In the middle here is going to be your blank canvas. So we haven't added anything into here yet to create our booklet. So let's go ahead and just click on one of these. We're going to go ahead and use this one first. Actually, we'll use this. So that's going to add a page into my presentation. So now you'll notice that on the bottom here, it says 2 of 2. And I just want to delete that blank page here. I'm going to delete that. So now we have 1 of 1. So basically, as I'm doing this, if I want to add any pages, all I have to do is hit that plus. And that's going to add pages to my template that you can see that if I'm looking at it, I can also rearrange them. And the way that you edit it is exactly the same as you would edit any other materials in here. So I can click on the image. I can also, one thing that I like as well is you do have some nice kind of like stock images. So you don't have to worry about trying to find just some random stock images now. You can actually go through Command and within the design tool, it has some stock images available, which is pretty great. Again, I can edit my headshot information here. I have it in my library. Pop that in there, there we go. And I can kind of work through this exactly how I would with any other design materials. The one thing that I like about the presentations in particular is that a lot of it's going to be kind of like auto-filled. So there's a lot of information here that you don't necessarily need to edit. So things like your app link or your app page rather, your custom marketing presentation, finding your buyers. A lot of this is going to be already auto-populated, like some of this marketing material here. And you'll notice if I go to that page, gives you an idea of all the marketing materials you can put together. And these are some of the things we actually went over, you know, like the just listed flyer as an example. all those things that we went over can be built directly through this tool here. All right, so I don't want to go too deep into the listing presentation. I know I've done a class on this once before, so I have that as a video. If anybody's curious, I can send that link over. Let's go back out real quick. And, I'm kind of getting ready to wrap it up. Does anybody have any questions? I think we have a few people in here. But if there's no other questions, basically what I'm going to do is just kind of close this out. But I like to always kind of close out with pitching our YouTube. So the YouTube channel is Bergen County Partners. It's basically where we're going to have all of our training classes, any of the Ask Gals, Hal's been uploading some of his stuff as well, how-to videos that I've posted, any of like the live stream classes that we're doing throughout all the market centers, all going to be posted in here. So if you're ever looking for anything to kind of rewatch, like this class, for example, I'm going to have this posted a little bit later on and you can rewatch it. And it's an awesome resource, especially during this whole time when we're in quarantine. Made it so much easier to find things, especially if you missed one of the live streams. So I like to just kind of go into this before, and if you're ever looking for those videos, go ahead and search Bergen County Partners on YouTube, give it a subscribe so you always have those updates. And yeah, that would basically be it. If there's no other questions, or if nobody had any questions, that would basically do it. So as I mentioned, I'm going to post this a little later on. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Monday. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. So enjoy the rest of your Monday. Talk to you all soon.